Hi guys, BellaDonna Black here, and here are 5 creepy gas station stories. So, turn off the lights, get comfortable, and let's begin. Number 1. Last Wednesday, the hubby and I had got out of the house for a little while. We went into town, had dinner, picked up a few things at the store, and decided to head home. We needed to top off the car before leaving town, but we forgot. I suggested we stop at the last gas station in town before hitting the highway. The last gas station on our way out of town was a creepy little Exxon. It's just off somehow. It's well tended, well lit, and clean. It just never seemed quite right for some reason. So, Brad pulls up to the pump and I ran inside to use the restroom. Just as I finished drying my hands, someone rattled the doorknob and knocked softly. I opened the door, but no one was there. I figured the lady must have darted into the men's room next door in desperation. Who hasn't done that one time or two? I shrugged it off and went back to the car. As we were pulling out of the parking lot, Brad says, "Something weird happened with this car while you were in the bathroom." A guy at the pump behind us watched it happen too. I asked what had happened, and he told me that, while he was pumping gas, the passenger door opened up all the way. Then the car lurched a bit, as though someone had sat down. Brad was leaning against the car, and assumed I had gotten in the car without him seeing me, until he leaned down and looked inside. The door was open, but the car was empty. The man at the pump behind our car was staring at the car door. Then him and Brad stared at each other for a second. Then they both went back to staring at the door. Brad went over and shut the door. The man finished filling up his vehicle and left in a hurry. It was just after he drove off that I got back in the car. Would have loved to see the door opening and car lurching. Sort of makes me wonder about the knock on the bathroom door. Number 2. So, I'm really frightened. I'm a 14-year-old boy who has trouble sleeping during the night. I find it much easier to sleep during the day. So, naturally during the summer, I became a night owl. I sleep all day and stay up all night. And this is the life for me. The only problem with this sleeping habit is that it's really hard to go anywhere or do anything, as it's always night to me. While this is the only problem I have, it's a pretty big problem for me. I don't have many friends, so going to a friend's house isn't the problem. It's the gas station and a nearby McDonald's I like to visit after school when I was hungry or had the munchies. Tonight, I had a sudden craving for some potato chips. We had none lying around the house, but my craving was so strong. I need some chips. I had $3 in my pocket. I knew I could get some chips for less than that at my local gas station. The hard decision was whether I risked going out at 3 a.m. and getting caught and grounded, but I figured that it would be totally worth it. I really wanted those chips. 5 minutes ready, I was ready to go. T-shirt and baseball shorts. Ready before I walked out the door, I noticed my pocket knife lying on the living room couch. Must have fell out of my pocket while I was sleeping. As I slept on the couch due to the lack of bedrooms in my house, I put it in my pocket and went to the gas station. As soon as I got to the gas station, I immediately went to the back, where I could find my long-awaited treat. As I slowly debated with myself whether to get Lay's or Pringles, I heard someone walk into the gas station. I'm 14, so I was a bit paranoid. Then I heard a man yell, "Freeze!" I didn't have to see the man to know that he was holding a gun to the cashier. I started panicking and saw the TV above me. The gas station had security cameras set up, and the TV set showed the store in real time, and I saw myself. Immediately I went as silent as I could to find some place to hide from the cameras. I ended up behind the man, about 5 yards, what I imagine is 5 yards away. I made eye contact with the cashier, and he looked as if the guy holding the gun had already pulled the trigger. It was a look of true fear. This made me feel even worse about what was going on. He was just emptying the cash register, but as he saw me, he started slowing down. Then after the register was empty, he told the guy with the gun there was more money in the back, and he started leading him away from the door. I took the hint and ran for the door, but as I was running, I heard a pop and shattered glass. Then I felt it. I felt my leg being cut. He had shot me and missed. I called 911, but I'm scared to tell my parents. Telling the subreddit has really helped me, but I need you guys' help. Should I tell my parents or anybody? Update. I told my parents, and since I had already called the cops, they were down there. The cashier is alright. I talked to him not so long ago. He said that after he shot at me, he was able to lock himself in the back as he waited for the police to show up. The door was metal. My parents wanted to take me to the hospital, but I refused. The few cuts aren't that deep. I was able to wrap them up, and I'm fine now. Number 3. I felt I had to share this encounter because, honestly, I never thought I'd experienced something like this myself. Sure, I've read all these no-sleep posts and freaked myself out, but this was different. This wasn't a scary monster, or even a ghost. This was a close call, or so I believe. Some quick background leading up to the night in question. I'm graduating from university tomorrow, so I was determined to get an early night. I'd gone round to my friends for a wee spliff, but don't get me wrong, I'm not a pothead. It was more of a celebration. Anyway, I remembered I had to take my mum to hospital. Nothing serious, but she had to be taken and picked up. Then I remembered we'd rolled the joint in the car. Disaster. She'd smell and see it everywhere, so I made a mental note to stop and vacuum the car. We have a 24-hour petrol station really close to us, but it's sort of on its own, as in there are no houses or buildings around. I pull in and look over to the shop. They use the hash after 12 and don't allow you inside, but I didn't need anything. I just ticked over 4 a.m. and I had to be up for 10 a.m, so I wanted to get this done and get out of here. The vacuum machine was behind the coal shed, but it wasn't well lit. I cranked on some music on my phone and got to work. £1 for 4 minutes of vacuuming. Not bad, I thought. No one else is in the parking lot, except one white van. The guy inside was yelling wildly on his phone. Not loudly, just making a lot of gestures. I felt for him. Probably some guy who has been driving all night. But hey, I cracked on with the work I had. Then I looked over again and caught his eye. He looked away, and I laughed. Love at first sight, I thought to myself. I was in an amazing mood. Then I started to get weird. The summer sun was already starting to rise. The street lights went out, including those illuminating the petrol station. It wasn't that dark, but it was noticeably creepier, and I was keen to really get a move on. I stared over at the van and saw the man watching me again, still talking on his phone. But then something happened that I really freaked out. I saw someone lean forward from the other seat and peek around the guy, then immediately slam themselves back against the seat. That's when I realised the guy on the phone was in the passenger seat and wasn't driving. I hadn't noticed it when I drove in, but I shrugged it off and set the vacuum cleaner back, ready to leave. I threw all my stuff back into the car and went to unlock the door when a voice said, "Excuse me." I swear I nearly shot myself there and then. My heart was absolutely pounding, but I recognised the voice. The petrol station was a Spar, the same chain of store I work in, and the guy who'd spoken was my old supervisor. He'd moved to the 24-hour store not too long ago. He began to shout at me for using the vacuum so late at night. The two guys in the van just sat and watched, as if waiting for him to go away. Then he said something to me that made his whole situation real. "I'm going to have to ask you to come inside. We aren't allowed to let customers in past 11, even in stores that open until 12. This is a big no-no." Especially as I knew I wasn't doing anything wrong. I allowed him to lead the way, and the moment we were in the store, he put the shutter down. He told me he'd been watching the guys in the van, and they'd been sitting there for nearly 3 hours. Little did I know, my old supervisor saw someone get out the back of the van, and as he described it, put a bit of masking tape across a few zeros on their number plates, effectively creating new ones. I began to panic. Looking outside, I noticed the van was gone. After checking the CCTV, it was shown that they sped away the minute I was taken into the store. We called the police and they examined what little footage there was. They checked the tape and thanked us for bringing it to their attention. At one point on the CCTV, the guy who got out of the back of the van turned to get back in, and it looked like he had a knife in his hand. I realised I sound dramatic. This story isn't exactly thrilling, but I cannot imagine what would have happened if my old supervisor hadn't been looking out for me. I'm never vacuuming at 4 a.m. anymore, that's for sure. Number 4. It was around 11 at night, and I'd just finished working out at the gym. I went to the grocery store to pick up some food for the next couple of days. While at the grocery store, I decided to get £120 cash back, money that I owed my mum, and unbeknownst to me, as I left the grocery store, money I came close to losing. Instead of going straight home, I decided to go for a little drive. I just got my car not long ago, and the novelty of driving stick hasn't worn off yet. After about half an hour of driving around the city, I decided it's about time to head home. As I passed a gas station on the edge of town, but close to my house, I decide that it's a good time as any to pull up and fuel. I pull in, and I'm the only one at the gas station. I'm in an industrial business part of the town, so there isn't much around. There's an empty lot that's without light beside the gas station, and I notice an SUV sitting there, about 100 to 200 metres away, but I don't think much of it. I get out and start pumping gas when I notice a woman come round the corner and walk straight towards me. As soon as I noticed her, a shiver ran down my spine. I instinctively locked my door. She walked towards me quickly, hands in her pockets, staring at me pretty intensely the whole time. I got in a fight with my boyfriend and he left me here. Can you give me a ride to my mum's house? She said casually in a raspy smoker's voice. Another chill ran down my spine as she repeated the question, word for word almost, that same raspy voice. I have to pump gas first, I said to her, keeping my eyes on her the whole time. She walked around to the passenger side door beside me and grabs onto the door handle. Can you unlock the car? I'm cold. I've been here a while. I have to pay for the gas, I said, deciding to cut the gas pumping short. I walked inside and talked to the guy behind the counter. I told him that the girl outside was kind of suspicious and I didn't know her. He just kind of shrugged, and I could tell he wasn't interested in getting involved, so I walked out. I figured she was high or something, but I would find a way just to get her to leave me alone. As I walk out, the SUV that I mentioned earlier started up. I watched the driver maneuver himself so he could just drive out the exit. He stopped, engine still running. He was still like 100 metres away. Can you open the door now? I'm really cold. So many alarm bells were going off in my head already. First, she just looked sort of sketchy. She was dressed well enough, but her face was pretty rough. She was pretty covered in makeup, but didn't hide a nasty looking sore on her lip. Her sunken eyes were dull, bloodshot, and just dead looking. Second, she didn't seem like a damsel in distress. Not at all. She didn't seem upset, and she spoke without emotion. No, that's not my problem. I need to go home, I said to her, as firmly as I could. Come on, you're driving me home, right? I can't. I have to get home right now. Reaching for my phone, I realised I'd left it in the car. I'm cold. I've been out here for hours, she shouts, pretty angrily for someone who's asking a favour, I thought. Then I noticed her look at the SUV. I started cluing into what was going on and raised my voice a bit. That's not my problem. I'm at the driver's door now. I'm freezing. You said you'd drive me home. That's not my problem. I started to raise my voice and she started raising hers. We weren't yelling, but it was getting a little heated. Went back and forth like that for a couple of minutes. My mind was racing. I thought about losing my car, about getting stabbed or shot, by getting robbed for the 120 I had in my wallet. I just lost it on her. Get the fuck back. You don't know who I am. Get the fuck back right now. I guess I was in fight mode at this point. I was pretty ready to just fucking clock this bitch if she tried anything. As awful as that may sound, I think I caught her off guard or something, because she stepped back right away. You better get out of here right now then, she said, walking backwards. I instantly felt my balls tingle sadly and climb up inside me after she said that. I was out of fight mode and into fucking flight mode. I watched her until she got a decent distance away, noticing she was walking sort of towards the SUV. I didn't watch for much longer. I hopped in my car and peeled the fuck out of there. I turned into a random subdivision, making sure I wasn't being followed. I called the cops and they said they'd send a car out, but there wasn't much they could do because there was no real crime committed. But I did the right thing, and she was most likely bait for some kind of robbery. I drove home as quick as I could. Number 5. A little over a year ago, I worked at a gas station, with one of those 24/7 ones with a mini mart in it. Now, I saw and dealt with a lot of fucked up things in that store, which just led me to roll my eyes when people were doing and saying something creepy. Hell, if I had $1 for every time I was threatened with death, I could retire. One night, I was out in the store restocking shelves when one of the creepy regulars came in and started talking to me. He was a full druggy bogan. Bogan means redneck in Australian. Think people of Walmart style. He would have been in his 50s, or the drugs had taken its toll, and he was tweaking whilst hitting on me. By this point in working in that festering hellhole, I had just learned to deal with it. Don't ignore them, they get angry. Don't act interested, they get clingy, and sure as hell do not agree to anything. He was saying some fucked up shit, something about what he wanted to do with me. I zoned in the night of what he was saying. It wasn't uncommon for him to ramble about perverted acts and other gross things. I tell him I have to get back behind the counter because my co-worker needs me to make a coffee for a customer. We were trained to use an actual coffee machine, none of this coffee pot stuff. He was a bit irritated, but said he would talk to me later and then left the shop. After making coffee, I had to restock drinks, but the day team hadn't emptied the trolley of boxes, so I, albeit begrudgingly, took out the boxes to the big bin. This bin is located around the side of the store. There are no cameras and the people inside can't see out. That used to make me nervous, but I'd been there longer than some of the people who had come through and was used to the environment. As I was throwing the boxes in the bin, the tweaking guy from before comes up to me and grabs my arm. I tried to play it off, like he's goofing around by laughing and saying something. Hey, Fred, I know you like me, but you can't get all touchy-feely on me. The husband will get mad. Sounds like I wasn't trying much, but with people like him, it was best to remain friendly with his type. The last time someone was more firm with him, they got knocked out by his right hook, and I was the lucky girl who got to witness it and call the cops. So, Twicker tightens his grip to a painful point and says in an angry voice, I told you I was going to have my way with you. By this time, I have stopped smiling and I'm now scared. He shoves me against the bin and goes to unbuckle his belt when glass smashes. One of my more favourite customers was across the road at the pub and had seen him go straight for me, and knowing his reputation, wanted to make sure nothing bad was happening. And when he saw what was happening, he smashed his bottle of beer over his head. Cops were called, and I didn't see him again. As for the guy who saved my ass, so to speak, I gave him free coffee for a month. As for the boxes, I refused outright to check them out anymore. My co-worker did it instead. He treated me for cleaning the restrooms. Hi guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below and subscribe to my channel. You can also check out my Facebook page and my Twitter. Both links will be found in the description below.